Let's call this Committee of the Whole meeting open at 8:15 p.m. All right then, let's go on to the adoption of the agenda. I move that the agenda be adopted as presented. Seconded by Mrs. Simard. Any questions or additions, modifications? Fine. I'd just like to bring about a correction. Because you added the zoning bylaw item on the agenda, you need a motion to this effect. Well, it's still on the agenda as it stands. Well, that's fine. Fine. All right, that's fine. That's fine. All right. Well, you're the boss, you know. Well, hold on now. You know, I'm not sure. Yes, okay. All right then. That's why I'm always quiet. I never say a word. Well, we'll have you navigate those waters, Mr. Mayor. We won't. All right, let's go on to presentations, delegations. Mrs. Leving from the United Counties of Prescott and Russell. Thank you. Thank you very much, then. You call me Mr. Mayor tonight, but when we're in the United Counties, of course, I'm the warden. Yes, fine. My name is Carol Leving. I'm the director of the United Counties of Prescott Russell Tourism and Economic Development. Tonight I'll be talking about a project that we'd like to helm involving all 8 districts of our area called the Business Retention and Expansion BR&E. So business retention and expansion of existing businesses in all of Prescott Russell. So now, what is a retention and expansion business? Basically, it's a survey that we conduct with those targeted businesses that we're interested in. So each municipality will target what category of businesses they wish to target, and we take a percentage of those businesses that are pre-chosen with individual members, municipal members, and we'll conduct a survey of involving people working in those businesses or owning those businesses concerning how they conduct businesses, what kind of products and services they offer, what are the obstacles they might meet, what are their future plans also. Will they be closing their doors in 2 weeks' time, or do they need qualified manpower? All of these points will be raised during the course of the survey that's conducted. If it's something that's raised to the effect that, let's say, that a business owner says, well, if I don't close my doors and if something drastic doesn't happen within 2 weeks, well, I'll close my doors, then our team will go to work and help them out immediately. That's an important aspect of our program and our project. Now, the main goal behind all of this, our main target is determine what our businesses more particularly need in individual sectors they endeavor in, and to come up with an action plan that will help us to help them. So, studies conducted show that established businesses in all of our municipalities create more jobs. They've previously invested in individual municipalities in our area and will continue to. 74 to 90% of jobs within our municipalities are created by our small to mid-size businesses. They are also business ambassadors. We've never put enough emphasis on this, but they're good ambassadors for us to the outside. Now, the way in which the project will be conducted will be broken down into 4 phases. The first phase consists of training, so we've relied on an OMA for a sponsored program. And explanations are given as to what this program consists of. This program has existed for many years, but we've never implemented one in individual municipalities all at once as we are doing so. And it's going to define the actions. This particular phase of the project will help us to implement things in coming years. We have a management team. Mr. Rob Keogh is part of our management team, along with all other 7 municipalities. And will be called upon to develop a work team, basically, someone who's responsible of volunteers. Volunteers will be surveying individual businesses. It was proven that municipal employees, if we work with municipal employees, they're not as confident to talk to us as people from the uh, from commonality of municipalities, if you wish. So we'll train those volunteers and for the purpose of conducting surveys. Now, that's number one. And from a community aspect, for reasons that I've explained, we've developed a much broader relationship with businesses and chambers of commerce as well as business people. And we have more true to form, true to life snapshot of business health. Some businesses are harder to reach because people are quite busy, so we'll do so by phone, but this is not recommended. It's recommended to meet with business people, business owners, one on one. Now, our goals for individual regions, well, individual regions or municipalities are called upon to come up with their own goals, aims, achievements they'd like to well, we have to have access to a lot of information. We need to analyze this information and we need to be aware of what businesses need to expand, what businesses need qualified manpower, and we need to have an idea as to what challenges they meet day in and day out to survive. This project is implemented to also pinpoint future needs. We'll also establish business to business communication links. Sometimes people are not aware of products that are existing in our area. Some people import products, let's say from British Columbia. We'll be able to match individual businesses' needs in the area. And we will promote, of course, this project through success stories in our area. Now, on a short-term basis, we need to come up with a much clearer idea of the health of our businesses. We need to increase our good relationship with businesses. It's going to benefit public opinion also. We are here to help them out. We're not here to hinder them. And we'll be able to establish a set of priorities to it. Are there sectors that are in dire straits as opposed to others? Do they need to be acted upon? Do they need help from us as opposed to others economical sectors that are thriving? Now, we want all 8 municipalities to take an active part in this project. Of course, we're targeting major employers and definite economical sectors, those that we've identified: commercial, industrial, agriculture, agricultural, agro-food, and so on and so forth. And within those major sectors, there are many sectors commercially linked. For example, service-related businesses are under the main service center or retail heading. Now, the industrial base that is to be surveyed will be those that are in industrial parks, tourism, tourist associations, for example. What's available? What should be available in the future? Now, this is the organizational chart that we rely upon. There are a lot of champions in each and every municipality. Each individual that is responsible for economic development is set out on this chart. We at the county's level will take care of everything. Communication, press releases will be drafted from our offices with individual municipalities' participation. The coordinator of the program, Mr. Moisin and Alfred from OMAFRA, will be overseeing our general works. Now we have a working group, an individual that's responsible of volunteers, one who is responsible for emergency situations, As I alluded to earlier on, if there's a business that's in dire straits and says, well, I need help, we'll come to their help, or its help, should I say. Now, we've established partnership partnerships, given the resources we've had, along with all municipalities, the new Chamber of Commerce of Cranston and Rockland, the Prescott and Russell Chamber of Commerce, Prescott Russell Tourism Center, the Prescott Russell Jobs Center, the Prescott Russell Partnership Association, and the Entrepreneurial Economy of Prescott Russell. Those are all of our partners, of course, that will be working hard in fine-tuning our survey. And if you have any other organizations in mind that might help us out in what our mandate is, let me know. Do you have any questions then? Mr. Levin? Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now, oh, Mafra, this is a ministry, is it not? Yes, it's the Ministry of Agriculture. This was tried elsewhere, right? Yes, it was great success. Yes, it was. This particular project was tried out elsewhere, and it made people more knowledgeable as to what businesses do exist in the area and what they need to thrive. You know, without knowing what our resources are, it's difficult to even expand. We certainly don't take the time we need to take a look at existing resources. So this particular resource tool, if I might use that term, allows businesses to rehabilitate itself or redress itself through financial help. No, this is not a financial help program. We rely on a team. When there's a business problem, these team members will flag problems, relay them to us, and we'll see, working with those businesses, if they can be helped or not. Well, congratulations. This is a great initiative for Prescott Russell-based businesses. Mr. Keogh? Mr. Mayor, I entered into discussions with the Chamber of Commerce and I explained the project just a tad bit to our good folks. They're going to want to work with us, of course. As Mrs. Living has alluded to, we need partnerships to make this work. So we're going to take about it's going to take about 6 to 8 months to have this project take off. There's a lot of preliminary work to perform or to do before taking off, if you wish. So, this being said, I'll come back to council with further information once things are underway. By the way, Mr. Mayor, the survey will be conducted from January to March or maybe June, a 6 month period. It'll be conducted through a 6 month period. We don't want to be too demanding on our volunteers. We're talking about members made up of 2 individuals meeting with business reps. One individual will ask questions, the other one will take down answers. All answers are confidential. No data will be entered into a software. There will be a software used, but that's just going to crunch numbers in a general sense to give us an idea as to what sector is heading where, as opposed to other sectors. Just a comment here, Mr. Mayor. Uh, since we've been elected now, since 2014, we've been talking about economical development for the city of Clarence and Rockland and for Prescott Russell. I'm very happy that finally we've implemented something. We've set something up that's concrete. It's going to help us to take better decisions, more enlightened decisions. I'm sure I'm sure that Mr. Kehoe is chomping at the bit and getting involved in this particular project. I've told him on many occasions that he should become more active in economic development, and certainly he has, and I'm sure he'll be a key player in your project. He already is, by the way. Well, that's fine. Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Leving, for this great presentation. Thank you. Well, thank you then. Next presentation given by Mr. Mike Gervais. Mr. Gervais? Mr. Keogh, you'd better listen to that second one there. It's a project that's going to be built at your back door, right behind your door at the back of the house. Go ahead, Mr. Gervais. Well, good evening. My name is Marc Gervais from CH Clément Construction. I'm here with Mr. Charles Clément, and tonight we're very proud to talk to you about our new project, the Domaine du Golf Domain. It's a condo project built on along the Outaouais Golf Course in Rockland, or nearby, should I say. So we're talking about the construction of 120 condo units. Now, the first phase deals with 46 condo units. The first phase, we're going to start construction in September, and so we set as our goal the start of construction as of the 1st of September. Those people that purchase condo units will be ready to take possession of their condo units in 2017. Now, this project represents a $25 million investment, local and regional. Most of our suppliers, I would say approximately 80%, kitchen, floor, wood, excavation, stone engineering is local. We're hiring at least at 80% local. So, and we're working closely with the Outaouais Golf Club. We have a very good relationship with the golf club, and they're very happy for us to be there, and we're happy for them to be there. So it's a reciprocal admiration society, basically. The project as a whole looks like this. So we're going to build an entrance along the ninth hole, and the first 46 condo unit will be built along the ninth hole. You see where the tee off for the ninth hole is, and the green is down at the bottom. And the second phase is built abutting the eighth hole. First phase, we're talking about the 46 condo units located immediately upon entering. This is a landscaping plan that you're shown here. 46 condo units making up the first phase of this grand construction project. What does it look in 3D? Well, there you go. This is what it looks like in 3D. If you notice, these are not condos that afford a view on the land. These are condos that are on the golf course itself. So it's very important for us to have individual balconies giving onto the golf course. It was very important for us to do so. Those that know a little bit of the lay of the land, this was the old clubhouse abutting the ninth hole. Well, this is the space we'll be taking up. Now, the outside, the exterior of the project looks like this. We're talking here about buildings. We're trying to come up with a unique look in Clarence and Rockland. We wanted to come up with something that looked like complexes built in Bromont, Saint-Sauveur, and Tremblant. So we've worked stone with Connexel stone along with wood. We wanted to give it sort of like a holiday rustic look that allies itself quite well with nature. A lot of wood, stone products, and this is the view that one is afforded when approaching the condos. Now, the back of the condos facing the golf course. Now, what you see photo-wise is a 3D rendering authored by a New York firm. We've chosen the materials, of course, and it's a fairly exact representation, because we do have some reflection off the 3D picture. But we're talking about a 23 by 7 foot balcony. Individual balconies, 23 by 7 feet. Huge balconies looking onto the golf course. Now, the first level, of course, is made up of condo units. The second level is made up of condo units too. This one here depicts a 7 or an 8 unit. Now, with regards to balconies, we're talking about windowed balconies, and those balconies measure 23 feet, and we'll be making use of Swedish products, bitumen windows that are open quite easily. People can open up their windows and close windows quite quickly. If people wish to eat at night and don't want to be pestered by bugs or mosquitoes, all they need to do is close up the balcony. And if you want to open the windows, well, the windows open up very readily. The bitumen company has already boasts 100,000 installations up to now, so we've put a lot of emphasis on the balcony. And on this with regards to this particular project, this is what it looks like when the balcony is enclosed. It's a beautiful view, of course. This is the pond. This is a little pond on the ninth hole. Well, something's wrong now. Wait a minute. Hold on. That's the pond? That's why I've lost a lot of balls in the past. Well, so the company has sent me this as for purposes of this presentation. It gives you an idea as to what kind of materials are included in the construction of this complex. Now, everything that I'm alluding to tonight is all inclusive in the price. We have four models. The Fairway, the Mulligan, the Birdie, and the Caddy model. So we offer four models. Cathedral ceiling on the second floor, 9-foot ceilings on the first floor, of course showers, separate baths, large balcony along with a locker. Every condo has a locker on it. So up to now, we haven't launched our sales office. Of course, we haven't. And we also have. We already have 12 people that have signed up for this to purchase units. Now, the interior doesn't look exactly like this, but we're talking about a shaker style type kitchen with granite ceramics. We wanted to come up with a luxurious condo unit that was affordable. We've worked very hard in coming up with this particular product, working with our suppliers, coming up with something that we'll be very proud of. I'm going to have Charles talk a little bit about construction. Well, good evening. Well, thank you to give us the opportunity to explain our product to us and how we've basically changed the concept, the layout, and the finished product. However, we've conserved cement, the construction principle that we've worked with everywhere we've constructed. We talk about poured cement walls, first floor. Steps leading up to the second floor are also poured cement steps. Outside walls, first floor are foam type cement poured walls that are insulated, of course. It's harder to pour cement on the second floor, but we have cement block walls installed on the second floor. Floors on the second floor are made up of pre-cut slabs constructed in Toronto. And we've explained people how we go about building our units. They have a hard time understanding how we do this, but when they take a look at other buildings that are built as opposed to ours, they wonder how we come up with what we've come up. And also, we've put up some wood walls on either side of those parting walls, of those separating walls, which offers further insulation and sound isolation. And that ensures the quality of our building, the cement that is poured, and the soundproof ability or quality for our product. Now, the cement, you see, this is a project in Belvedere that we've built. Now, the cement is trucked in, put up, very good, affords very good sound isolation, energy compliant also. And we've put in also heated floors that are heated via the tankless method, heated through hot water. We wanted to talk about construction today because we've put in a lot of time to fine-tune the product. You know, the Domaine du Golf project, we had occasion to play golf 3 or 4 years ago, and we said, well, we'd like to settle there. And we'd like people to be proud of the fact that CH Clément is recognized as the main builder of this particular complex. Our team has worked very hard and we're proud to be there. Now, our sales office, well, we've transformed the previous clubhouse and we will be there as of the 24th of May. We'll have a sales office open 5 days a week. People will have occasion to visit us. Our spokesperson for this particular project is Guy Lafleur. He also is our partner in other projects. We have a good business relationship with him, and we've talked to him about this particular project. We spoke to him about this, and he agreed to be our spokesperson for this golf project. Guy played hockey in Rockland and told us that Jean-Marc Lalonde coached him when he was playing hockey during the wintertime, and he has particular affection for the city of Clarence and Rockland. And it's also very important for us to promote our project and also the area. Now, last year, we put our heads together and we talked about the Clarence Rockland golf course. And people said, well, we didn't even know there was a golf course in Clarence and Rockland or Rockland. So we realized that we needed to do a bit of work to enlighten some people. And so by inviting Guy, we'll also invite outside media to take part in a press conference that will be held, well, on the 24th of May, the grand opening, the opening of our sales office, a media-related day. And on the 26th of June, Guy Lafleur will be back. We'll be promoting an open door day. He'll be promoting sales. We've done the same thing a few years ago in Belvedere, and it was quite interesting to see how people reacted. People of all ages showed up with their Montreal Canadiens hockey jersey. It's important for us to stimulate media attention. And the 1st of September, we'll proceed to the grand opening, if you wish, or the official opening. The first shovel full of dirt that will be taken off the ground, if I might say. And we're going to try to come up with a media day during the time of construction to talk about, to deal with Rockland, with our folks. Do you have any questions or projects? This is excellent quality, by the way. I can't. It's unbelievable the lengths that you go through to ensure that sound is isolated from one unit to another. Congratulations, it's excellent, and I'm looking forward to taking a look at what the finished product is going to be. Let me tell you, this is quite true. I've had occasion to purchase a condo from Mr. Clément in the past, and from a soundproofing standpoint, his units are excellent. You see, people say, well, we're going to insulate with wood, and it's going to do the same as cement. It's going to have the same effect as cement, but it doesn't make sense, you see. During those busiest days of the year, of course, from a sound perspective, it's much more desirable to have cement partitions. Mike, we spoke about this yesterday. It's a great project, and I think that you've succeeded. You've succeeded, Mike, in coming up with something that is unique in the city of Clarence and Rockland, even throughout the length and breadth of Prescott Russell. This is something that people will be greatly interested in. Congratulations to members of your team, and we wish you all success. Any other questions? Well, thank you very much, Mr. Clément, Mr. Gervais, for the time you've taken in addressing Town Council with regards to your project. Let's go on now to correspondence. Do you want us to go through individual correspondence items or deal with petitions and correspondence as a whole? The first email requests support for Fort McMurray, and I believe that individual municipalities will be sending $20,000 to Fort McMurray. I had occasion to work there. I wouldn't want to come back, but I was very well paid when I was there. There are 80,000 people to this date that have been called upon to leave Fort McMurray. There are no more houses standing. There's nothing left. It's a very good cause, and we're talking about Canadian citizens in Canada and in difficulty. Is there anything else you'd have to remove? You want to have removed from petitions and correspondence? The expansion project now with regards to County Road number 3, that's a particular item that could be removed from petitions and correspondence. Fine. Well, fine, we can do so. So we'll move that we receive all correspondence and file all correspondence. Well, that's fine. All those in favor? Great then. So we've dealt with them all in one block, if you wish. Well, that's fine. Let's go on now to item 5.8. Oh, notices of motion? None. Comment or question period? Does anyone have any comment, or does anyone have any questions? None? Okay. Reports from the United Counties of Prescott and Russell. Well, Mr. Clermont stated last week that we might have a surplus, so I jumped on this and said, well, maybe the warden and the United Counties of Prescott Russell warden might consider where that surplus is spent. So I've pinpointed Old Highway 17 as being the recipient of surplus money. Saint-Jean, I believe, also will be paved. Baseline, that county section portion of Baseline. And I believe they'll be working on part of Joannis, but they were... What's nice about this is that they'll be adding a bicycle path to the sideline. Last year they stopped at Saint-Jean, but I believe now that they've made provisions to allow that a bicycle path also be built alongside. Let's go on now to item 9, committee and staff reports. 9.1, purchase rental of a grader. Hold on. That the committee of the whole recommend that we proceed to a call or tender to proceed to the purchase rental of a grader. Money taken from the 2016 capital budget, seconded by Councillor Zant. Questions? Well, I don't know if there is a problem with the way in which the calculations were performed. I spoke with Mr. Simoneau over the lunch hour, and I took a second look at the process followed. Now, the operator part of this deals with 20,000 for one and 9,000 for the other. If we're dealing with the same operator, well, that was with regards to rental. Yeah, I know, but Mr. Caddy, do you have an answer as to that? Yes, certainly. This is the mistake that we made, Mr. Mayor, with regards to option number 3, dealing with the rental of a grader. The amount involved should reflect $9,000, the same as number 2. Now, the total figure over 20 years should be downgraded from 20 million to $998,000. It changes figures. Well, Mr. Simoneau had a few questions, had a few concerns. He'll certainly talk to us during our next meeting of council, with regards to 300 hours worth of use for this particular unit. If we tabulate the cost of the machinery pegged at $400 and some odd thousand, that's still much more money, and it's a loan that we're taking. That's tacked onto our debt. I have a few doubts as to our purchasing the grader instead of renting a grader. I'm not saying that we should exclusively rent graders, but for this particular unit, I'm hesitant in purchasing it. It's nice to own machinery, but we're not talking here about a tandem vehicle. This is not something that we'll make use of each and every day. 300 hours is represents a lot of there's a lot of operator fees with regards to overtime hours to be paid. Given the maintenance involved, there might be some overtime that's calculated in all of this. I know because both mechanics or the mechanic that takes care of this machinery not only takes care of graders, but of our whole fleet. I'm not ready, as things stand right now, to go ahead and recommend the purchase of this machinery at this time. My only concern with this is that when I take a look at previous years, you're saying that we'll finance this over a 20-year period. Now, in your costs say that we'll be coming up with $31,000, $35,000 expenditures on a regular basis, but the interest and the machinery costs are also included in these projections, aren't they? Well, Mr. Mayor, the operations branch identified three options. They identified the operating costs that are associated with the three options. Now, they've decided that they would look at a 12-year time frame. 12 years is investment with regards to low caps. And we did it at the present value to determine which of the options is the least costly for the city. And that's what we determined that the purchase option would be. It was by far the less costly of these scenarios. Yeah, but you have to figure out the list price, $410,000. Yes, it is in there, Mr. Mayor. The 35,000 is factored in, or $31,000 for the second year. That's factored into the list price. Well, the 410,000 is in the first year purchase. Yes, but you're still borrowing that. It doesn't matter, Mr. Mayor. You take that, the present value reflects the full cost of value in the first year. $410,000 in that purchase year is identified. It's identified there, and you simply allocate all other operating costs for the future, and you bring them back to a current dollar, Mr. Mayor, and then you compare the different options. So the purchase option, purchase of $410,000 is shown in the first year, but your 441,000 is more than that. Well, those are added costs. Those are with the other costs, full costs of 12,000, operating costs of 9,000, operating costs each and every year, 441. It amounts to 441 for the first year, for purchase options, and then costs for the next 12 years. But that's not giving us the right costs down the line. We should be figuring out if we're going to finance it for 12 years, a certain amount of that should be going on that 12 year. Well, Mr. Mayor, in a value analysis, Mr. Mayor, you just deal with the cash outlays of financing. It doesn't matter if we purchased it, if we have money in the bank. It doesn't matter if you borrow it. It doesn't matter if, well, the purchase decisions, the options are looked at in terms of what the cash outlay is for the city over that time period, and then we simply discount those values back to today's dollars so that we are able to compare one option as against the other. With a purchase option, we could be borrowing the money, we could tapping into money in reserve, but it's still part of the operating costs if you figure it out over 12 years. I understand that you're paying it, but still, these are their real numbers. We have to pay that somewhere. If you say it took us 12 years to pay it, that amount that you pay every year for 12 years should be part of the operating costs. Well, in the real business world, that's the way it would be. You'd have to pay every year if you have a payment coming up that would be part of your plan. Well, the net present value analysis looks at all the cash that goes out, and you assume an interest rate over a period of time to bring it back to today's dollar, whether it's a lease payment or whatever the payment is, so that you can compare the two types of purchases. So, without getting into the complexities of net present value, the actual payment part is part of all of that because there's an interest rate that's assumed when we perform the calculation, right? Well, that's correct. I'm just having a hard time justifying all that money for 300 hours a year, and the operating costs are just going to keep going up, because people get raises and there's overtime and all of that. The fuel, well, fuel for him or fuel for us, it really doesn't matter. I don't know. Maybe it's the way it's presented. Uh, I'm not there yet. We considered it at budget time, or we can reconsider it at budget time. That's the option. Well, one of the things we were discussing at the budget department, if I'm not mistaken, is that we had to fix one of our older graders, and it cost us like $45,000 for new Trinia or something like that. Or, I mean, maintenance. Let's get back to maintenance costs. 10,000 a year. Yeah, for first couple of years, it's under warranty. It's new. It's fine. But I, I don't know. Well, this includes a minor and major maintenance on average. Yes, so you see that purchase option. So we could lease for a year and then we could consider purchase after that year. We could do that. Michel? Oh, I'm just not there yet. Mr. Mayor, part of it also is that when you look at the amount of hours that each one of those graders will be called upon to put in, each grader is used for approximately 300 hours a year. So we'll be using these units for 300 hours a year. So we'll need 3 graders. Whether you rent or buy the last one, you see, we're comparing. Look, if there were only 100 hours requirement for the third grader, well, then yes, the buying. Well, we own 2 graders, and how old are they? Well, the city owns 2, and we rent one out, to be more precise. How many hours is on the oldest one? The total hours? I don't have that figured, but it dates back to 1989. Well, to me, it makes more sense to buy one because you'll still have one as a backup as opposed to renting it. And you'll still have a backup. So let's say at 300 hours a year, you're getting up there in hours used. So, Mr. Mayor, the level of service that we want to provide to our citizens is also taken into consideration. I think that we have approximately 115 kilometers of gravel road, and they need to be plowed within a certain time. We have 3 assets to do this, but which one of the 3 do we rent? If we don't own 2, we don't have a backup, and we hate to rely on somebody else to provide service. So the quality of service will be provided, but we certainly will work with 2 and have one in our back pocket. Well, I'm not questioning the fact that we need 3. I'm just questioning the fact that we need to rent a third one. Well, I think that having one that is so old, I think that we're better to go with a new one because the old one is going to cost us something. I think, according to me, anyways, if you take a look at this situation, knowing that the older one, the 89 unit, if we put in additional hours on this, or a lot of hours on this particular unit, if you figure 300 hours per year, 10 years, 3,000 hours. Well, that's not all that much, 3,000 hours on that particular type of unit. Yes, but this piece of machinery is 25 years old. 8,000 hours worth of operation. So that's tantamount to a lot of repairs. Councillor Levac. Well, Mr. Kaye, in 10 years from now, we won't need graders because all of our roads will be paved, right? Well, I believe that Mr. Laval lives in a utopia here. His head is. Well, let's get back to the grader. What we tried, by the way, just to further what has been said, we've tried a few years ago to work with tandem type units instead of working with graders, and they really don't do the job. And actually, using this machinery gave rise to a serious accident that occurred. An accident. Now, from a safety standpoint and from a road safety standpoint, it's much better to work with a grader. Well, if Mr. Keogh does not need to spend money that he absolutely doesn't need to spend. I know he's quite thrifty. Mr. Keogh runs his department quite well. They know what's what. Citizens also will complain if roadways are not kept clear and in good condition. By the way, there were 18,000 hours on that particular grader, the 1989 unit. That represents a lot of hours, my friends. All those in favor, then? All those in favor of the purchase and rental of a grader? Mr. Levert? Yes, yes. Mr. Levert was taking out his credit card to pay for the purchase of this new grader, Mr. Mayor. All right. Let's go on to 9.2, Morris Street Sanitary Sewer Replacement. Yes, let me get rid of my truck item here, or my grader item. Let's go on now to this sanitary sewer replacement item. I apologize, Mr. Mayor. Okay, that the Committee of the Whole recommends to Town Council that it adopt a bylaw 2016-61, being a bylaw to authorize the Infrastructure and Land Planning Management Committee to enter into a signed agreement with Land Rock Excavation Limited to replace sanitary sewers on Morris for a sum of $176,580, excluding GST. Seconded by Councillor Simard. Major difference, Mr. Kennedy. We're talking about a $75,000 difference between the lowest and higher tenderer, the lower and higher tenderer. Is there a reason? Well, there's no reason for this. There's no reason. When we're working with different prices like this, we also perform a verification with a third party to make sure that nothing is missing from the call to tender, and what is delivered is what we expect to receive service-wise. Some people are more astute than others in coming up with competitive prices. Now, with regards to Morris Street, we'd performed camera surveys and we'd relied on the data called from those surveys to determine what needs to be worked on. So this is the one on the edge of the particular area. Well, this is the one that is not installed properly. All right then, I understand. Fine, fine. All right then, fine. Any other questions? Any other questions then? All those in favor? Thank you then. Other item? Monthly reports? Oh, Mr. Mayor, you skipped over the zoning bylaw. You skipped over the zoning bylaw. Maybe my computer is not hooked into the scribe network. I'm sorry, but I don't see it here. So, are we dealing with the zoning bylaw? Yes, well, we have to proceed to 3 votes on this. Well, you have to proceed to discussions and then come up with a recommendation. All right, let's revisit the zoning bylaw 2016-10. Any questions with regards to zoning bylaw 2016-10? People are very quiet tonight, Mr. Levert. Mr. Mayor, can zoning bylaws be amended at any time? Well, yes. At the Committee of the Whole meetings, we might ask the developer to change, to put modifications, to apply modifications on some projects. Yes, because the reading material accompanying this particular bylaw is quite hefty, it's quite voluminous. We talked about sales signage for homes put up for sale. Can we deal with this now, or shall we deal with that at another session? Yes, this can be dealt with not within the confines of a zoning bylaw per se, but in the confines of a separate bylaw, if you wish. But this signage, yes. So this deals with signage bylaws. Claire and I took a look at the bylaw, and there might be a few modifications to be brought from this point on to in a few months from now, or give us a few months, Mr. Mayor, we'll be taking a closer look at the signage bylaw as it stands. Is that okay? Well, that's fine. That's fine. All right, let's go on now. So the zoning bylaw will be discussed and implemented at the regular meeting of town council. All those in favor, carried. Fine then. Monthly reports. Well, Mr. Mayor, what the material with regard to the committee of the whole, uh, well, the committee of the whole recommends that town council the approval of zoning bylaw 2016-10 as recommended by the land management committee. Seconded by Mrs. Simard. Any questions? Fine. All right. Let's go on now to monthly reports. Any questions with regards to monthly reports? I do have a question. It has nothing to do with monthly reports, but I'm going to ask it in English. We've just done work or resurfacing on Highway 17 and Rolling Road in the budget, as well as Woods Road. Woods Road has no bearing, though, on my question. Now, old Highway 17, we'd earmarked $60,000 in the budget, and they did approximately 1.1 kilometers, and another section on the same road, 0.15 kilometers, with two intersections. Now, Chemin Rollin had 80,000 allocated, and it only got approximately 0.875 kilometers of scratch coat without any intersections. So my comment here is that I don't think Rollin is any rougher than Highway 17 because they were both pretty rough. But old Highway 17, well, I'm sorry. Okay, well, anyways, in any event, old Highway 17 got 0.37 more than Rollin and had 20,000. But they're both in your ward, Mrs. Simard. So really, you're saying it's just a comment. I'm saying that one has 80,000 and the other had 60,000. The one that had 80,000, well, don't forget that Rollin, the problem was, well, see, it took a lot more asphalt. And don't forget that our contract called for the purchase of so many tons. And tell me if I'm not right in saying so, Mr. Gettier. We were purchasing so many tons to work on so much projects. And employees at the end of the line could not say, well, he had permission to do this and that. You know, it's been a while that we haven't done anything on the Rolling Street, but people are dissatisfied. And people say that nobody's worked on the Rolling Street, but we've done half of Rolling Street this year, and next year we'll try to do the other half. If not, I'm sure that people on the La Belle Road would be very happy to obtain uh, improvement. I don't. I'm totally in agreement with what you're saying, Mr. Mayor. I'm not against what has been done. Why 20,000 more, but had less road coverage? Well, the amount of asphalt that Rollin there were some spots along Running Street that needed more work than other spots. Yes, Councillor Zant. People on Woods Street thank you, and I thank you for the work that has been done there. After 29 years, at last the road has been repaved, and we've received some very good comments. Now, I know that there's a section that was not performed at the very end, and I told Mr. Zant that there was a project at the very end of that area that needed to be worked on. That's why it wasn't all completely repaved along that section. I took a look this morning at what was done. It wasn't all that bad. Mr. Lalonde, you have nothing in. Look, there's no problem in your ward. Well, Mr. Mayor, I don't have any question with regards to asphalt or surface treatment or ditches, but my question is this. I don't know if it should be addressed to Mr. Belanger, Ms. Carrier, Mr. Carrier and Mrs. Belanger. When we're called upon to send messages to either businesses or business people, do we have the capacity to store the language of preference of the merchant, either French or English? And if we do not, can we obtain it? Because I have some people that phone me up and say, Andre, the individual that sends me the information has a French name, I have a French name, and everything is sent to me in English. We're supposed to be a bilingual city here. If we don't have the capacity of having this in our system, if we don't, we should have it. And if we do have it, we should make use of this. I don't know if someone could look into this. I don't expect an answer as of tonight, but we might be a bit more careful in sending information in the language of choice of those that receive the information. I'd like to add my comment to this. I had a coffee at a given establishment, and the individual that ran the establishment received a letter and asked me, well, Mr. Levert, I don't understand. I'm asked to put up bilingual signage, and this is the letter that I received. It's completely drafted entirely in English, signed by a Francophone individual, addressed to another Francophone individual. But it's incomprehensible that this letter be drafted solely in English. we should we could at least phone up that individual that receives the letter and ask that individual receive that he or she should receive it either in French, wishes to receive it in either French or English. Clarence and Rockland boasts itself of being the first municipality to put up bilingual signage in the province, and we should seriously look into this situation. The solution is quite simple, Mr. Levert. Annual permits that people pay, well, these people are asked to fill out a form and indicate their language preference. Well, why don't you send bilingual letters? That's all. Well, if this is a standardized letter that is sent to everyone, that's fine. But if it's a letter that is addressed to a business for dealing with a specific matter, it should be uh, drafted in a language of choice. Mrs. Collier? I'd like to understand more about this situation, but staff's initial response to whoever requires or information, if that person inquires in French, they'll be responded in French. I'd like to have a bit more of information. Well, I saw the letter, and the person that received it is not English speaking. It was entirely drafted in English. I see. I understand. If it's the first initial letter that's going out and you obtain a reply in French, for example, then the employee will switch to French. That's fine. But the next time that you're called upon to communicate with that individual, that's where the problem lies. If Mr. Caddy, it's not just a matter of the letter itself, but it's the subject matter of the letter that needs to be addressed also, and in the language of choice. Any other questions? Fine. So let's go on now to monthly reports. That's fine. Adjournment. Okay, adjournment called at 9:12 p.m. Fine then. Let's go back to the regular meeting here. Be it resolved that the regular meeting of council be reopened at 9:12 or 9:13 p.m. I'm sorry. Seconded by Councillor Lalonde. Fine. No questions? All those in favor? Carried then. Thank you. Zoning bylaw 2016-10, be it resolved that zoning bylaw 2016-10 to approve the new zoning bylaw and to repeal the previous 2016-3 zoning bylaw be adopted. Any questions? All those in favor, going once, twice, and three times? Well, that's fine then. So this zoning bylaw is carried. It was seconded by Mrs. Simard, Councillor Simard, by the way. Let's go on now to the confirmatory bylaw. Yes, would somebody wish to read out the confirmatory bylaw? Be it resolved that the Municipal Council of Clarence and Rockland hereby adopts bylaw 2016-63, being a confirmatory bylaw. Is that the one? Yes, for the regular meeting of May 16, 2016. Seconded by Councillor Lalonde. All those in favor? Thank you. Adjournment called at 9:14 p.m. That's fine. Is everybody happy? Are you happy, Beb? Yes, I am, Mr. Mayor. All those in favor? Carried. Not bad. We finished things up at 9:15. Thank you, everyone. Good night, everyone.